I want to remind you that youth, as a history student, I dug this up, youth is not always such a tremendous asset. Some young men in history have been on the other side. You know, Nero strangled his mother when he was 21. Poisoned his wife when he was 23 and burned down Rome when he was only 28.
Well, now, the other thing we've got to do, in addition to instilling that belief in freedom, the value of it, is to improve our education about communism. There are too few schools in the United States today that are teaching adequately the nature of communism, what it really means, what it is, and how to combat it. And the trouble is, you see, if we don't know the enemy, then certainly we can't fight that enemy, can't win a war against them.
Do you think an attitude prevails among some educators that to even study the subject might tend to make some of the pupils maybe lean that way?
Well, I know that that objection has been made, but frankly, I don't believe in it, because in my own experience, the more I saw of communism, the more I learned of communism, the more I came to detest it. And of course, this is true again of the people behind the Iron Curtain. The more they have seen of communism at first hand, the more they have come to hate it. And I think that therefore, the more familiar our young people become with the truth, the better they will be able to fight against this great menace.
Well, our plan is, following the general election, if we're successful then, to appoint a committee to look into all of the proposals with reference to repeal, to try to pick out a plan that would be best suited for the interests of the people, and then make that opinion known publicly.
Do you feel the repeal should be handled through the legislature rather than by initiative petition?
I don't have any feeling with reference to which way it should be handled, either by petition or the legislature. I just believe that the matter should be determined one way or the other during the next session of the legislature, so that, for the obvious reason that the legislature will then know whether or not they could appropriate against that anticipated revenue from repeal.
Do you have any ideas on your own, any particular legislation that you'd like to see enacted if you become governor that would correct the so-called abusive buying practices of certain county commissioners?
I think that there are needed improvements in that field very definitely, but I would want to and intend to wait until this committee of Senator Hugh Sandlin and our new floor leader, Charlie Wilson, have made their study and their recommendations.
Warren, what happened to the Braves? Well, Larry, we lost. That's one of those things. Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose.
In your opinion, what kind of batters do the Yankees have?
Well, Larry, they're a mighty fine ball club. There's no question about it. And they're fellows that you have to be a little bit careful of. And if you make the right pitches, I think you can pitch to them. If you make mistakes, they'll let you know about it.
Warren, you're pitching 1-2 of the World Series games. Looking back, would you do anything differently if you could?
Well, yes, I'd like to eliminate the mistakes that I made in those 3 ball games that I pitched. But then again, if you did, I think maybe you might have made a few more mistakes than I already did. So personally, I had a real good series. And of course, I'd have liked to have won 3. I'd like to have been a member of the World Championship Ball Club. But then somebody's got to lose, and I think we were beaten by a pretty good ball club.
I'm sure that.
Mr. Fuller, why do you think that the exclusive contract held by the limousine operator is a bad thing for Oklahoma City?
Because we're not giving the traveling public, both outside of Oklahoma City or the Oklahoma City people that are traveling, the proper taxi transportation that they're entitled to and like they have in every other town in the United States.
Do you feel that your company could give better service round the clock than the limousine companies?
Our service is entirely different from the limousine company. We'd give good service around the clock for taxi cab service that's required by the traveling public, yes.
Who selects the operator of the limousine?
The limousine service is named by the airlines, who reserve the right to name a limousine operator under contract with the city. All of the airlines using Will Rogers Field reserve the right to name this limousine operator so that they can ensure that the air passenger gets to the airport and from the airport. Originally, I was chosen by the American Airlines to be the ground operator, ground transportation operator, I should say. I then submitted the bid to the airport manager and was approved by the city council.
Is the city council required to get competitive bids on this sort of transportation?
Not legally. They may do so if they choose, but they're not legally required to.
Why do you need an exclusive contract to carry out your business?
Well, we have about $135,000 worth of these limousines here that are used only for transportation of people. In order to stay in business and buy new equipment, since we have to operate around the clock, we feel that you have to have an exclusive, number one, to buy that kind of car. Number two, we think the public is entitled and likes a nice ride rather than just transportation.